COVID-19 journal again. I just did like 6 sets of dips. I started with doing 15 dips and then take a break. 15 dips, take a break. And then I was getting down to where I was doing 12, take a break, 12, take a break, and then 10, take a break. So 6 sets. The first 3 sets were 15, and then it was 12 twice, and then 10 once. No, 10 twice. So that's 7. I did 7 sets. Yeah. 3 sets of 15, 2 sets of 12, 2 sets of 10. So that's 7. 7 sets of dips, and felt really good, actually. It was awesome. Good workout. I definitely felt it. But I do want to follow up with the video that I posted yesterday about what's going on with me and this whole legal battle that's going on in my household. So let me fill you guys in. I didn't want to do this, but I think it needs to be said. I've been married for 3 years. Bad marriage, horrible. I don't want to go into too many details on that. Just not compatible. I'm a Christian. I'm not perfect, but I go to church. We were going to church until COVID-19. But I pray, I read my Bible, I sin and I repent and I forgive myself and I forgive others. I grow and I learn. And I always try to stay focused on Jesus and His grace. Because if I focused on everything else around me and man and COVID-19 and my crazy soon-to-be ex-wife, I'd be focused on the storm and not the grace. So enough of that rant, because I don't want some of you guys to feel like I'm preaching. Let me just tell you what's going on. So I filled you guys in yesterday. There was an incident. I was pushed. I was hit with the door by my stepdaughter's boyfriend, who just showed up here one day out of the blue, and he thinks he can live here, blah, blah, blah. That's his deal. I don't like the guy. He hates my guts. That's the difference. I don't hate him. I just don't like him. He literally hates my guts, and his girlfriend has told me as much. I could see it in his face, too. And it's because I represent authority, and I don't like him smoking weed in the house and stuff like that. He's 26 years old. He needs to get his own place, him and his girlfriend. But my stepdaughter kind of manipulates my wife and calls the shots. That's just the way it is. So moving forward, police came 3 times yesterday to our house. 3 times. All 3 times I called. I have never really done that in my life. And so when they came, I was explaining to them that I'm not being allowed access to the apartment where my name is on the lease, just like Ashley and Vicky's name are on the lease. But they're keeping me locked out of the house. Cops came, spoke to them, and said, you guys can't do that. That's called unlawful eviction. You can't keep him out. He has a right to be here just like you do. They're cursing and yelling and screaming up the whole time, trying to paint me out to be this mass murdering type of guy. Oh, he's psychotic. He's a Marine, PTSD. He wants to kill us. None of which is true nor validated. No evidence at all, because it's just not true. It never happened. But they're trying to paint me out to be a monster. So going backwards in time a little bit, I had broken my shoulder and I was out of work. So I was on disability, getting disability checks. And I'm on Norco and I'm sedated and I have my arm in a sling. Can't work for 6 months, the doctor said. All that being stated, during that time, Vicky decided to, out of the blue, when I'm sitting down with my arm and I'm asleep, file a restraining order out of the blue. This is a true fact. And she stated on the restraining order, he's a direct threat to my safety. No evidence again. But because it said that, that was enough for the police to say, you got to go. I was like, where am I going to go? All the pastor told him what was going on. He's like, wow, that sucks, man. You know what? I can't have you out there like that. Just come stay on the church floor. Put an air mattress out. And, you know, I was like, dang, I hate to put you out. Like, he's like, no, that's what Christian brothers are for. Moving forward, about 30 days into it, they're all, advising me, don't contact her because, restraining order, it's going to look bad in court, I was like, all right, I have no intention to contact her. She started contacting me. And then she showed up to the church one day crying. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I didn't mean to do it. I said, I still got to go to court. I still have a court date. She goes, I'll drop the charges. And I said, but why did you file them in the first place? That's the thing. I never threatened you. What's going on? And she's just like, she's a control freak. That's all it is. She admitted that in marriage counseling with the pastor and his wife. Control freak. But she works for the county, LA County. And for her to misuse her powers or authority like that just because she's a woman, it could ruin my life. You know, like, why would you want to do that? Anyways, go to court, dismiss charges. This is like 6 months ago that I'm telling you today, maybe 7 months ago. Because here we are in April 16th. This was last year when all that happened. It was before I started school. So yeah, it was 8 months ago. This is 8 months ago that I'm talking about. Because right afterwards, I started going to machine technology school where I'm at in TMA to be a machinist. And we should have graduated this month, but Covid-19 delayed that action. So got to hang in there, stick it out. It'll get better. People are recovering more than they are dying. Mostly recoveries than death. It's just that there's no vaccine, you know. But let's talk about this real quick. So moving forward, here we are today. Because of the incident yesterday where me and this man that lives in my house got into it and pushed me. I didn't push him back. I never put my hands on him. I wanted to, but I didn't. Self-control. It was hard. I wanted to. Ultimately, the cops came and said, you did the right thing and all that kind of stuff. And then going forward even more so, I had to call them back because I couldn't gain access. They spoke to Vicky and Ashley. Said, you can't do that. It's unlawful eviction. So they said, well, we don't want him here. So the cops said, can you stay somewhere for the night, Brian? And I'm like, why do I got to take the walk? This guy doesn't even have a lease. He's just here. He just showed up 4 or 5 months ago and he's here. So they're like, just for the sake of argument, it makes you look like a bigger person. Just do it. I said, all right. And I said right there in front of him, can I come back tomorrow without any hassles? And am I going to be allowed in without you, tripping? Are you gonna not let me gain access to my place, to our place? And she's like, no, yeah, you're good. We're not going to have this issue. It's a petty, immature issue. I said, okay. Cops were there as witnesses for that. And then beyond that, it was more like, all right, I'll do that. I'll take the walk. So I did. I slept somewhere else. Came back this morning, had my online class on Zoom. And then when I came back, I know that this man, Patricio, goes to work at 11. So I said, to avoid confrontation so that there's no more trouble, I'll show up at 11:15. I did. Got here 11:15. New locks. By the way, that's a criminal charge against the law to change the locks. But they changed the locks. Vicky and Ashley. So I'm like, wow, here we go again. So what do I have to do? Call the cops. Cops show up. They explain to them what happened. They knock on the door. Vicky and Ashley refused to let them gain access. They identified themselves as LA County deputies. They wouldn't let them in. They wouldn't speak to them. They avoided the deputies at all cost, which is ridiculous because she works for the LA District Attorney. She's an LA County District Attorney employee, and she wouldn't let the deputies speak to her. So the deputies said, we got to go because they got stuff to do. They got to go chase robbers, rapers, gangbangers, stuff like that. Real important stuff. This is just domestic quarrel stuff. It's petty and immature. It really is. Now, I come back home after that today. Sheriffs were here again. I didn't call them this time. They said, no, she called. She's filing a restraining order against you again 8 months later. And she's making up who knows what. Violence, guns. She's going to say all that kind of stuff. But yesterday, when the police were here, these same officers were like, has he threatened you? No. Does he hit you? No. Has he ever hit you? No. Is there any damage in the house? No. And then today, and I didn't stay here last night. I wasn't here. Today, it's guns, danger, scary, all that. So which is it? She's basically fabricating a bunch of lies And she's acting in a very peculiar, bipolar-ish kind of way. I'm not a medical doctor or whatever, so it's just my opinion, my unsolicited, non-professional opinion of her psychotic mental state, which is just the way I see her behavior. The police officers agreed. They're like, this is unusual behavior. It's not normal, but you have to CYA. I said, yep. And that's what I call you guys all the time. To CYA, cover your assets. So with that being stated, I'm waiting now to see what happens today because they're at the courthouse. Police told me they're at the courthouse. Ashley and Vicky are at the courthouse as we speak, drumming up false statements and restraining orders. And here's the weird thing about it. They told the police yesterday their intent was to leave, to vacate. They're moving. All three of them are moving out, which means like, hey, win-win for everybody. You guys leave, Brian stays here or goes or whatever he does, but you guys are all separated. So there's no need for a restraining order if you guys are moving out. They said they're going to move out actually today. So why all the extra animosity and stick your knife in someone's back and break it off? Change the locks. File restraining orders. Why? Just leave. But that's what I'm dealing with. And I'm sorry that I'm posing this out there, but the police were telling me that this is becoming a big call out for them during this COVID-19 thing. These are some of the biggest calls is domestic quarrels, domestic violence, domestic fights, domestic this, domestic that, disagreements, 415, disturbances, you name it. And I'm like, so he kind of applauded me. Well, I say he. I saw like 6 deputies yesterday and 4 more today. They applauded me. Self-control. You didn't break any laws. We verified that by asking her, did you hurt her? Did he hit you? Did he? No. So why the restraining order? Confusing, but that's what I'm dealing with. Meantime, I'm waiting for the sheriff to arrive. And I'm waiting for Vicky and Ashley to get here. They have new locks, which is a criminal, not a civil thing, a criminal offense. You cannot change the locks. The management company didn't approve it. They don't have a spare key. I don't have a spare key. It wasn't something that was in the lease that you can do, but they did it. The police said that. The police told me this. That is a crime, not a civil matter. It is literally a crime. You can prosecute her for that. I said, well, it looks like I'm going to have to go that route. I hate to be that way, but I'm defending myself. That's it. So this is just a continuation from yesterday's video series on what happened to me. And I'm doing this as a record, visual record, a video record of these events for my own memory, if I have to be subpoenaed. And my neighbors talk to me today because they hear our arguments. And they're like, we feel really bad for you. We pray for you all the time, Brian, because we hear how she belittles you, puts you down, calls you names, da 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 da. And they're like, you're superhuman to be able to put up with that. I go, thank you. But it's over. We're divorcing. Her narcissistic behavior patterns are just untenable. So that's the way it goes. And with that, thank you guys for listening. For those of you who are suffering through something similar, maybe this can offer a little bit of solace for you. Don't give up. Keep praying. And keep a positive attitude. No matter what happens, you're alive. This is difficult, but it's not impossible. You know, all things are possible with Christ. So that's what I got to say. Staff Sergeant, and I'm still getting my workouts in. Staff Sergeant Calhoun from Whittier, out.